Welcome to the Run Your Mind podcast, where we focus on the performance mindset and well-being side of running and fitness, with episodes focused on honest conversations and practical tools that you can use in your own fitness journey, giving you what you need to work on your mind, not just your mileage.
But mine kind of started scarily, probably from the age of 7. I started with quite a severe eating disorder.
In today's episode, I'm joined by Ruby Padwick, who's passionate about opening up honest conversations around body image and self-worth. We talk about her journey, what living with body dysmorphia has really been like, and some of the misconceptions that still exist in the fitness world. Ruby shares how her relationship with her body has evolved over time, what has helped her shift her mindset around it, and what she turns to on the tougher days still. We also explore how to better support those who might be struggling, even when they seem confident on the outside. So let's get into it. There we go. B-roll. Done.
Looking like awkward.
So, Ruby, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. I know we were speaking a bit about it on the run, but it'd be great for people who are tuning in who maybe don't know who you are to tell them a bit more about your journey and a bit more about your background.
So I'm Ruby, obviously. I'm a personal trainer. I used to be an actress and then had many other jobs, as you can imagine, being an actress. And now I'm moving more into the kind of mindset coaching world. Just I feel like I just think my purpose is more there, just because obviously as a personal trainer, you hear people's stories all the time. And if anything, I've realised that actually it's mindset they need to change, not how much fitness they do. So I've been a personal trainer since 2018. Actually qualified as a yoga teacher originally, believe it or not, because I'm the least calm person in the world. And then now going into sort of mindset life coaching, I guess.
Great. When we met a week ago, randomly at Boring Cardio Club. Shout out to Boring Cardio Club. Yeah. And one of the things that I saw you talk about online and we spoke about in person was body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
And I think it is something, particularly in the fitness space and running space, that when we talk about mental health and mindset, is such a big thing that a lot of people think about but don't always know how to talk about. So I thought it'd be good to talk about that today, and obviously how it links to self-worth. But before we get into it, what is body dysmorphia for people watching this maybe not sure or a bit uncertain around it?
So body dysmorphia is when you basically see something that nobody else really sees. So it's a morphed version of yourself. So for instance, I would look in the mirror and see myself in a much bigger body than what I'm actually in. A lot of the time body dysmorphia doesn't make sense. It won't make sense to people who don't have it or maybe don't understand it, because obviously, in other people's eyes, you look great, or, it's not always an aesthetic thing, but you don't look like what you think you look like. It's not something that's kind of like, oh, you just, I don't know, having a bad hair day or whatever it is. It's like fully you are seeing something that is just not there. And it's so hard to explain to people sometimes because, everyone around you most people want to, you look at your friends and you think they look great. You're never first thing you do when you see your friend is you're not worried about how big or how small they are. You're just seeing your friend. Whereas, so it can be very hard for people to understand. It's literally looking in the mirror and seeing something is just doesn't exist. It's not there. Yeah,
got it. No, obviously we spoke a bit about it before, and that I had a rough idea of it, but I think, as you say, for people who don't experience it, and there'll probably be very few, there's probably people who experience it to a certain degree or might think they do, compared to those that maybe have a more, as you say, like severe kind of experience of it around that illness from it. What with you wanting to talk about this, like, do you mind sharing a bit around your own journey and sort of how you've become so, is passionate the right word to really talk about it and address it within the fitness space?
I started talking about it more and more in the last sort of few years, and I guess as I've been on my own journey to kind of recovery, I suppose, I've become more confident talking about it, because what I went through for the last, I'm 33 now, I'd say probably 20 plus years of my life, just kind of, I guess never really liking myself, I suppose. And like, I don't want anyone to ever go through what I did. And I think if I had more people like me, maybe portrayed in kind of, I guess now we're in such a social media world, if there was more people like me talking about it, maybe I wouldn't have felt so alone, or maybe I would have dealt with it a lot sooner. But mine kind of started scarily, probably from the age of 7, I started with quite a severe eating disorder. Someone said something to me when I was 7 that has then stuck with me pretty much my whole life until I addressed it quite late on in my adult life. Probably not even, I'd say I've only really been in recovery for the last sort of maybe 1 to 2 years, which when I say that out loud, I guess I kind of feel a bit like, because I know that people within that time would have thought I would have recovered in that time. And I've definitely done podcasts before where way before that, when I said I was recovered, when I clearly wasn't. And I guess it kind of, started when I was 7. And then I guess it all started off with sort of bulimia, anorexia. If you don't know what bulimia is, it's obviously when you make yourself sick. Anorexia is where you obviously stop eating. And then that was kind of, I guess the body dysmorphia would have been mixed in with that, because I've always looked in the mirror and seen something completely different. I have been bigger, I've been smaller, I've done all of that. And then I think then being part of the acting industry, which is just all based about what you look like, and you turn up to auditions and you're either too big, you're too small, you're not tall enough, you're not short enough, you aren't pretty enough, you haven't got the right colour hair, like that played into it. And then obviously I went from kind of, I guess, one egotistical career into another egotistical career, which is now fitness, where same thing again, it's kind of, you're surrounded by bodies that look different to you. And I guess it's just that domino effect of I kind of went from one career to another career that's all just based around your body shape. And then here I am now at 33, whereas I would say I'm still recovering. I'd say I'm not fully there yet. I'd say that I still have days where I don't like what I see, but it's learning how to deal with it, because when it's a mental disorder, you know that what you're seeing isn't real. And if you can learn to kind of deal with your triggers rather than acting on them, that's been one of my biggest ways of kind of, I guess, recovering from it.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing, like, if you can think back to one memory or a particular moment of experience where you experienced that, where you saw something completely different or felt something completely different to maybe what the mirror portrayed at the time?
Yeah, probably not even that long ago, to be honest. I say it's hard to explain. It's not, and it is, but I basically I was going off on I think it was for a shoot for something, it was for a running brand. I was going for a photo shoot, and I picked myself apart in the mirror. I kind of didn't like what I was wearing. I was like, I don't look fit enough to be a runner. I was like, I don't look pretty enough to be photographed like as some running ambassador. I was like, this is ridiculous. And I just picked myself apart in the mirror, and then went on the shoot and got the photos back and was dreading these photos coming back. So I was like, I'm going to look fat. And I try and ban the F word now because it's just not remotely beneficial to my brain space. But like, I got these photos back and I was like, I looked beautiful. I was like, for the first time I'd seen myself genuinely in these photographs, and I was like, I look lovely. Like I don't understand how I can go from one day looking in the mirror being like, feeling like I'm the biggest person in the world and basing my whole entire existence on my body size. And the next minute getting these photos back and suddenly felt like my mind was clear because I looked pretty, which is so, when you really like look into it, the fact that I'm basing my whole entire emotions on whether I look big or small is, I guess, when you really have to put it in perspective, like my worth is not valued in what I look like. There's so much more to me than my body size. And I think, it was a bit of perspective, I suppose, but yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think, I can look back and have certain experiences, I suppose, where I've maybe looked back. I mean, I not the same thing, but something I've openly talked about is my hairline is something that I had always thought growing up, like, it was fine. And I got to uni and it started going back a bit, and then stopped. But it was in my 20s and 30s. I'd always be worried about going on holiday, I never swam underwater, for example. Was worried about if it was a windy day, all these kind of things. And it got to a point where I was like, I want to address this. I want to change my perspective around it. And ironically, by making it more obvious and talking about it more, I worried about it less. Have you found that with your experience of talking about this more? I think has added some lightness to it, or changed anything around there?
I naturally revert to, I think like a lot of us, I revert to humour when I'm feeling uncomfortable. And I actually found, which I don't know whether this sounds ridiculous or not, but I found that the less clothes I've started wearing in regards to when I'm working out, I used to not want to take my vest top off and be in a sports bra, because I just thought, oh no, everyone's going to be looking at my slight roll that I have and all these things. And I was like, actually no, I think the less I've cared about that and less clothes I've worn and just been like, you know what, this is my body and it's not going to change. I think that's helped quite a lot. And I think also it's like realizing you're being these like core memories you're making with people. That's not just fitness, like you're, I don't know, you're going out for a brunch with your friends and it's like the years worth of ruining core memories because I was more worried about what I looked like, or turning up to meet friends and I was so panicked whether I looked thin enough to be there. And it's like, it's when I started losing that aspect and realizing that actually my friends want to see me to hang out with me, or when I'm working out, if I'm sweating, why am I going to wear a jumper because it's just too hot? And actually, if people around me are worried about my body shape, that probably says more about them than it does me. And I think it was like the less I started, less clothes I was wearing, which sounds weird, but like the less I worried about what my body looked like when I was doing things or going to places, that definitely has made my sort of mindset change in regards to like why I'm doing something rather than what my body looks like doing it. That makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah. What do you think are some misconceptions around body image when it comes to the fitness industry or
Oh, where do I start? I mean, it's weird because I'm in the fitness industry, but almost hate being in the fitness industry. But actually, I think that I found my place recently in regards to if I could just squash some of these ideas that we have about what body shape you should have for certain things. For instance, your body shape does not define how good or bad you are at your job. And I think I just find like even today I was having a conversation with someone and she was saying that she doesn't feel like she's got a lean enough body to be a reformer instructor. And I was like, but what does a reformer instructor's body look like? And she was like, oh, well, and she couldn't answer it because it's like, what does a PT look like? Like you see some personal trainers that are ripped. They look aesthetically very pleasing, but they are shocking at their job. And I know that sounds awful to say, but like any industry, people are really good at their job or really bad at their job. What you look like doesn't define how qualified you are to be where you should be. I spent so much of my time thinking I don't look like a personal trainer. I'm like, well, what does a personal trainer look like? My body doesn't define how good I am at my job. Because you wouldn't say that about someone who's a lawyer. Like they're a bad lawyer because they are too big or too small, or I don't know, don't have the right hairline, for instance. It's like, I think there's such a misconception of what you should look like, which I actually think puts people off doing things. The amount of times that people don't come to a fitness class or don't want to work out or they don't want to go for a run because they feel like they haven't got the body shape for it. It's just, I don't know how we've managed, I know how we've done it. Social media doesn't help because you're in this world, and I actually think what people don't realise is if you're in the fitness industry, your algorithms tend to throw fitness stuff at you. But then if you actually talk to someone who's not in the fitness industry, they don't see as much stuff as we see. And I think that I'm trying to get back to my point because I tend to do this, I go off on a tangent. But we have this idea of what you should look like, and I think it's just utter rubbish. You shouldn't, if you want to be a reformer instructor, go be a reformer instructor. If you want to be a runner, you can go for a run. Like, you don't need to have a body shape to do anything realistically. And there's just too much pressure on that. Like, if more people realise that the fitness space is genuinely for everybody, whether you've gone through menopause, not gone through menopause, whether you have just come back from an injury, whether you've gained loads of weight or lost too much weight, or whether you've, like, your body shape doesn't define how good you are at something. I could talk about it for ages because I find it angers me sometimes because I think it's really sad that that's the point that the fitness industry got to, that people are not feeling good enough to go and step into a gym because they don't anyways. I could keep talking about it for ages. I find it horrendous. I think it's really sad because we've all been there. Like I sometimes have used to cancel going to something because I didn't feel like I'd lost enough weight to go to the thing I was going to. Like, what? That's so warped because then you just end up not enjoying anything. Like you're more than your body shape, and especially like, I don't know. There's this idea of things, and I just think that we're pushed so many bad images of people that I can guarantee that I will meet them in real life and they are not as confident as they're portraying online. Or, we have this misconception of like what you should look like. But to be honest, no wonder, because I meet people in real life that don't look like their photos anymore, but yet they're still posting them like that's what they look like. It's so unattainable to have abs all year round. And if you've done that, then great. But then it's like some women end up losing their periods, or some men end up, not being able to have children in the long run because they've sort of ruined their what's the right word for this? You know what I mean? Like
testosterone level.
Yeah. Or people ending up pumping themselves with like injections and stuff. Like we try and be these people that don't really exist. And I think if more people were a bit more honest of what they actually looked like or how they were actually feeling, people wouldn't feel like they can't do something because of their body shape. Anyway, I've completely gone off on a tangent, but it just angers me so much.
What are some hidden signs then, whether this is for someone watching this who maybe isn't fully aware or ignoring it and not trying to provoke this for the sake of it, or for maybe people who aren't aware of others? Like, what are some hidden signs that someone might be struggling with body dysmorphia?
I think a lot of the time with body dysmorphia, it will also feed into tends to be other eating disorders that are mixed in with it. For instance, like I've never just had body dysmorphia. I've also had sort of bulimia, anorexia, or I had quite a bad laxative abuse problem for quite a long time as well. That's another thing I've only just started talking about recently, and it's scary how many people also deal with that as well without realising they even have an eating disorder. But they tend to all be combined into one. A lot of the time, people with body dysmorphia or some kind of eating disorder check themselves in the mirror quite a lot, tend to use quite negative words against themselves quite a lot as well. They'll constantly need validation from other people as well. You also find a lot of people with body dysmorphia eating disorders, it's quite a self-absorbed world, but not a purposely one. And that sounds like an awful word, but it's not. It's like you are just so obsessed with what you look like and in your little world, in your little bubble. People, I guess, eating disorder-wise, people that go to the toilet too quickly, maybe after a meal, but then who knows, I don't think there is really like always loads of signs for it. People tend to be quite good at hiding it or think they're good at hiding it. I think it's more just asking people if they're okay. I think we don't do that enough, really. And people tend to mention things without realising it. Like I would sort of say something like, I'm trying to think now, I'd sort of be like, oh God, I don't know if I want to turn up today because I'm not feeling like great in my body. But then you'd laugh it off. So I think people do tell you the information. It's just whether or not people are listening, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What would you advise then on that point? You know, you said about asking if people are okay, but what are some things you should say or things to avoid as well, saying or doing? If you're aware or unaware of maybe, or have a suspicion that someone might be experiencing this.
You know what, if I had £1 for every single time someone had said something inappropriate that you shouldn't say really to anyone, but I think that we need to stop quite a lot of commenting on what people are eating, maybe commenting on what people are wearing, commenting on, probably what people are eating is the biggest thing. I think whether someone's got an eating disorder or not, I think the amount of time someone would sort of say, oh God, that's a lot of food, or, oh, you're really going to eat all of that, or, like things like that we're quite judgy on other people quite a lot of the time, and you have zero idea how they've got to that point. I mean, it works both ways as well. Like you see someone in a bigger body, for instance, eating a burger and you comment on it. You don't know whether that person's actually spent however long getting themselves to a point where they feel confident enough to go out and just eat food, regardless of what that food happens to be. And I think we need to get rid of that a lot. And also, I don't think social media helps as well there's just constant stuff on like what I eat in a day videos, which is just like, no one cares. And people sort of portraying that they, don't eat this, eat that. And like, if you, rather than eating this sandwich, eat this sandwich that's healthier and swap your mayonnaise for yogurt. And like all of these things we're bombarded with. But yeah, I think we need less chat about what other people are doing. And that would probably help quite a lot.
I think what you said as well around one thing I shared, outside of this, but just in general around general mental health is the questions you ask people as well. I think people are so worried about what they say and not having the answers of what happens if my friend tells me. I'm not a therapist, like I'm worried, but it's like focus more on what you ask someone than what you say to someone. Because often what I say to people is like, your questions will show them that you care. You don't need to worry so much about what you say afterwards. You're not going to be able to fix it a lot of the time. They're not going to be looking for a fix. They often just want space to talk. So showing them, and even just changing the question from how are you, which can just feel like such a polite one. And I don't know if you've ever found this, where you go in a supermarket, you see someone, how are you, how are you, how are you, go back and forth a few times before someone needs to break it. So just changing the question, like what's been on your mind lately, or how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, I think just shows people, you're not just asking out of politeness or out of habit, you are genuinely interested. And it avoids that auto response as well. And obviously you want to do this with the right people.
You're
not
necessarily,
like how are you not bad, like it's an automated, whereas if you ask someone a different question, what's been on your mind lately, you can't automatically answer it. So I think doing it with the right people, with close friends, or in that space where there's not loads of people around and you think, oh God, am I going to put someone on the spot?
I think we also try and fix people quite a lot. And I think the reason it took me so long to get over a lot of stuff is that I think people try and a bit like, you know, like you were saying then, it's like you actually just want someone to show interest in what's going on with you, not always try and fix you or come up with an answer or kind of become a therapist. And I'd get a lot of people trying to kind of, rather than understand me, they'd be kind of like, oh, I don't get it, just eat, or no, you look great, or oh, you look fine, or blah blah blah. And it's like, that's not actually what I need. Actually, what I need you to do is just be like, I'm here for you with however you're feeling. And it's like, you don't have to always understand somebody, but it's showing that you're willing to be there for them, even if you don't always get it. And I think, yeah, it is that auto response, isn't it? Someone's like, hey, how are you? And I'm great. And actually recently I've started being like, you know what? I'm actually not great. I'm having actually just a bit of a rubbish day, actually. And I'm not feeling great in my body right now, but like, I feel fine in general. But like, and actually I think then I've noticed the more I've done that, some other person's gone, you know what, actually, yeah, I've been having a bit of a tough time too. And I think it's just not squashing how people feel as well. Like, you get quite a lot when you sort of try and open up to someone and they sort of squash it, and you're like, oh, that gave me my one little moment of being able to actually say what I was actually thinking. But yeah, open conversation is, and also picking your timing as well. It's so dependent, isn't it? But
yeah. With what you've spoken about, body dysmorphia, the eating disorders, how did that impact like other areas of your life, like training, relationships, general day-to-day? Where did that sort of show up, and how did it show up?
It's so interesting you asked that, because I was actually talking to someone about this the other day, about if I look back at all my past some friendships that I've had and relationships as well. I think I didn't realise at the time how much an impact having an eating disorder, and also I guess also body dysmorphia, which they're all blanketed in the same thing, but how much that's affected so much of my life. Like, so many relationships where actually I never realised how hard it was on the other person, when the person that you love or care about is just doesn't see what you see. Ruining dinners because you get self-conscious and you don't want to then go anymore, or being out and like suddenly there'd be someone put olive oil on a dish and I would have an absolute meltdown in a restaurant and be just like, couldn't eat it, and it would like completely throw me. And then, not going out to certain things or not wanting to be in certain places. Like, I look back and I genuinely can't believe that some of the friends that I've still got are still here. Not because I was ever horrible or nasty, but because you lie to people all the time. Because eating disorder wise, I would constantly tell people that I was completely fine, or like I was on some kind of diet all the time. I was always, suddenly I was gluten free out of nowhere, or I was dairy free, or I suddenly couldn't eat this, or I'd eaten already today, or like, oh no, actually, like, you guys have lunch without me. I will have already eaten by the time I get to you, and I'll just have a coffee. Like, that's because you're so used to saying it, you become in this little world of like, you don't even realise you're lying anymore. You're just you've genuinely told yourself you don't like certain things or certain situations. Or I suddenly didn't like mayonnaise for years. Of course I like mayonnaise, it's delicious, but like, I've told myself I don't like these things because it was a much easier way to not like something than to just actually say, you know what, I am really struggling. And don't get me wrong, things have not helped over the years. Like, I've been to health professionals that have, when I was 18, I went and told someone that had laxative abuse. I think I had a laxative abuse problem at the time. And then he basically told me, the doctor at the time told me I didn't look ill enough to have an eating disorder, which, as you can imagine, at 18, when you've built yourself up enough to tell somebody, it threw me. And I then closed myself off for another 12 years before I think it was a partner at the time. And actually, no, it was my best mate found a packet of laxatives on the floor of her bathroom because they'd obviously dropped out my back pocket. And she sat me down and was like, Ruby, like, this is really bad. And I think those moments started when people actually cared about me and actually wanted to be like, we actually worried about you. I think seeing the reaction of other people started to make me go, whoa, it almost like dragged me out of it, because the last thing you'd ever want to do is like hurt anybody else. So I think you can hurt yourself, which is obviously bad, but like, it's like a form of self-harm. But then when you start to see the effect on other people, that's when I think it started to hit home. And I think, again, it's like, if I look at some of the boyfriends that I've had, God, I've spoken to a few of them about it now, like, I've come out of it, but they all said they found it unbelievably hard to just deal with because they just didn't get it at all. And of course, defensiveness doesn't always help, but like, yeah, you don't. God, some friendships I look at as well, some holidays I've been on with friends, and I spend most of my time in the toilet, and like, you just ruin things.
Yeah.
But you don't know you're doing it at the time, and it is a much happier place to be when you are going out for dinners with friends and doing things all the time, and your friends can see how happy are you. But also at the same time, if I am struggling now, I will tell them I'm actually having a really bad day, and they're like, okay, what do you need? Rather than like judging me for it. But yeah, it's almost like like a cloud gets lifted off you when you kind of come out the other side.
Yeah.
So anyone watching it, like I always think like there is a way, like the more I've spoken about it, the more people have contacted me about it. It is mad how many people are in the same position. Like body dysmorphia isn't this like abnormal thing that like nobody has. So many people have it, like, and you're not alone in it. And the more you start to talk about it and open up about it, and like, I think the better the world will be, because a lot of the fitness industry is rife with it as well, and we just don't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
So people are idolizing these people that are also dealing with things that like you're also dealing with, but are maybe just ashamed to say it because they're worried how it would make them look. But there's a lot of us, like I've been a personal trainer for years and I still suffer with severe like insecurities and body dysmorphia all the time. Sometimes it's like we're not superhuman, like we're also human beings. We just happen to be in a fitness world where we're supposed to be like, I guess, someone you idolize, but like we're just like everyone else. We have issues as well.
Yeah. Is there anything outside of we've obviously spoke about talking around things, but any tools or practices that you have now or have used in the last couple of years that have helped get you to this space now where you can talk more openly about it and still, as you say, maybe experience it, but be more conscious of it?
I guess there's so many different random things you can do, but I'm trying to think. Sometimes it can come out of nowhere. You can be fine for ages and it can hit you like a ton of bricks. But I think it is just sometimes just sitting with it, to be honest, and actually being quite honest with how you're feeling. I found for me it's talking to my friends or sort of talking to my partner about it. That normally helps. They don't always understand, but I think it's just somebody being like, how you're feeling is okay to feel like that. I think I've created quite a safe space around me. Like my friends are like family to me. And I think it's also maybe checking in with my recent thing recently has been like, if it's not going to bother me on my deathbed, is it bothering me now? Like, should it bother me now? And I think reminding myself that how much I weigh and what I look like and kind of whether or not, you know, I've got less or more wrinkles one day, or whether like, don't know, whether I've got a roll when I sit down. No one is going to think about that when I come to my deathbed. I'm going to be remembered for so much more than that. And I think if more people can remind themselves that, yes, you can be struggling and it can be absolutely horrendous, but you will either A, come out the other side of it, or try and remind yourself that your body shape and how you look and how little you can eat, or how most you can eat, isn't going to be something you're going to be remembered for. And I think also for me as a woman, I think I keep being like, if I had a little girl, would I want her to feel like this? And I know that I wouldn't. So yes, I might not always be able to see what other people see, but I think it's just those little things of like what my actual self-worth is. And it's definitely not what I look like.
Yeah. Do you spend much time going the other way then, in terms of like looking at what you do appreciate and love and like about yourself now more than you did before?
Yeah, I started doing, actually, funny enough, you mentioned this when I met you, but I started writing like almost like a brain dump of like things whenever I'm feeling a certain way. And then writing down sort of also like a list of like things I appreciate about myself. And like recently it's been kind of, yes, I've not always liked what I look like, but actually what can my body do? And I'm like, wow, like if I'm able to go and, I don't know, hike a mountain, this is more impressive. Like I can do that. Like not many people can do that. I'm like, this is great. Like what can my body do? Not what it looks like. Or like, you know, am I able to still, you know, walk up and down stairs? Yep. Can I still do the escalator? Yes, I can. Like, can I still, I don't know, run for a bus? Yep. So like, I don't know, those are like really small things, but I think it's just I think sometimes you just got to check in with yourself, because there's just so much more to life than like what I look like, or like what other people look like as well. Like there's so much more to people than this, but yeah, it's not always easy. But yeah, I think it's just like, I sometimes write lists of things that I'm happy with and appreciate, and, you know, like my body didn't suddenly make me a good friend, did it? Or like my body doesn't make me a good daughter. Like it's about, I guess, being a bit more, I don't know, honest with yourself, I suppose. Yeah,
I think for me, like one of the reason I asked that question, because it's not trying to create some toxic positivity here, but I think it is so easy for us to focus on the things we don't like and dislike, and then of course when you experience that can be amplified even more. And I think it's not saying it can stop those things, but I think providing more balance of actually giving yourself the time and space to go, here's what I do like, love and appreciate about myself, not to ignore those things, but just to provide more balance towards it. And I've noticed like that's something that's helped me over my years, is like in my 20s I used to look at all these things I didn't like, from what I looked like to how I was to qualities, and you know my self-worth and self-esteem were really low, and then It's almost like it's not saying I haven't worked on things and still don't want to work on things, but just becoming more conscious of how I do show up for others, how I do show up for myself, what I like, what I love and what I appreciate, has just allowed me to recognize that and avoid going and looking externally at comparison all the time. Because I think a lot of the time we do compare ourselves to others because we don't do enough internal comparison. We're like, we don't recognize the progress we've made or what we can now do, or the things that we couldn't do or younger us would have been, oh my God, you ran a marathon, or you did this, or you hiked a mountain, or you were able to, very rarely get ill, for example, whatever these things might be, and just giving yourself credit for those things. And I think a lot of people struggle because they don't want to come across as too confident or arrogant, but A, like this isn't for anyone else, and B, I think I've said to people, like, if you ever worry about being too much of something, you probably aren't, because even having the awareness in the first place means you probably are never going to go near that. The people who are too arrogant or too this never crosses their mind.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can think about that and actually go, do you know what? I saw this video, for example, I think Chris Williamson's podcast, Modern Wisdom. This guy asked him, he asked this guy, like, how would you define your self-worth? And he was like, I would buy me a beer. I would sit at the bar, despite my flaws, despite all of these things, and go, I would buy me a beer. And like, I heard that a couple of years ago, and I was like, that's the baseline. I would like, even if I'm having a tough day or stuff's going on, or maybe I'm not happy with stuff, would I sit with myself? Would I sit with myself and have a beer or a coffee?
That's so good. I think that's such a good one. I'm going to think of that next time. I love that. Would I go out? Would I take myself out? Yeah, I'm great fun. I would. But I think it's because, but you were saying this about the vain, about people worrying about being, you'll never win. If you are too confident, you are vain. And then if you are not, if you don't like yourself, you're insecure. So like, you will never win. So I think, we're sometimes even scared. It goes the other way with things. So sometimes we're scared to be like, you know what, I'm great. Like, I'm really great and I'm loving myself today. Because saying that sounds odd for some reason. But you can have a bad day and think and say that you look rubbish. But like, that's so true actually. You would rarely ever go out and be like, I just feel great.
And again, it's coming from your own place. It's not to have to tell anyone, but also knowing that when you are doing these things, you are going to, as you say, get people saying things. But another thing I heard, which I loved, is when people can't say you've grown, they'll say you've changed. Because you are going to maybe, when you are going through that journey and becoming more conscious of these things, there are going to be times maybe where other people aren't. And it's, again, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. And I think you can't control them.
But I think also what you learn as you get, I mean, it's probably getting slightly off topic, but well, not really. But I think as you also learn as you get older, that not everyone's going to grow with you as well. Like some people are just there for some people come into your life for certain reasons and they stay in your life for certain reasons, but not everybody will praise you when you're at your highest, and not everybody will support you when you're, going to your lowest. And some people just won't fit into your life anymore. And I think it comes with age. I feel old saying it now, but it's true. Like I've got friends that I'm not friends with anymore, not because anyone did anything wrong. They're not, I guess, on the journey that I need to be on, and they're not part of, I guess, what I want to achieve in life. And sometimes it's sad because you just think, when you're younger, you're like best friends forever, and it doesn't always work out like that. Sometimes, like a relationship, some friendships just run their course. People won't always grow with you, and sometimes growth scares people, I think. As well.
Yeah. So if someone's watching this, obviously one of the biggest things we talked about is talking to others. But if they're sitting here going, I've not spoke to anyone about this, like what encouragement or advice would you give for that first step to go and spark that conversation?
I always think that the right people they won't always understand you, but the right people around you will want to help you in some way they can. There's obviously also medical, actual professional teams that can, therapists and teams that can help you on a professional side. But anyone that loves and cares about you, if you open up to them and tell them you're really struggling with something, or you might have seen this podcast and you're like, actually, I think I need to actually go and get some help, people will want to listen to you. And my biggest thing has always been, the reason I talk about it more and more is please, if you feel like that now, just go and talk to someone. Because I was in over 20 years worth of my life never liking what I saw or liking myself at all, and not realizing it either. That burden is so much, and it will get to a point where you just I've definitely got to points where I just didn't want to be here anymore, and that is I can't. It makes me upset, because it's just I don't want anyone to ever go through that, because it is horrendous, and you ruin so much of core moments and memories and relationships and times you could have had with your family when because you're not that's not what you're enjoying. You're thinking in your head about you and yourself and what you look like and how little, like, there's just, so if you are watching this and you think any of this stuff is like you, just talk to somebody, because it's just like the quicker you can get out of it or like learn tools to deal with it, so your life just becomes so much better.
It's I think what we spoke about earlier on kind of linked to it is flipping it and going, if I knew a friend were going through this, would I want them to talk to me? Yes. Would I think they're a burden? No. Like, they probably have the same answers as you.
If you're ever a burden to someone, they're not the right people to be around.
And it's thinking, if someone wasn't sharing this with me, I would feel like as soon as I heard about it, I'd be like, tell me, like, I'm here for you. I might not have the answers. So I often think, as you say, if you've got the right people around you, they will always want to hear this. And as you say, like, the sooner you talk about it, the sooner you can put it out there, the sooner it doesn't instantly solve anything, but it does make it lighter. It's the analogy I often use is, particularly, with anything related to our mental health, it's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle while it's still in the box. It's very confusing and overwhelming. But if you throw it out on the table and you get other people to kind of look at it as well, it's like, it doesn't solve it straight away, but it does make it a lot lighter.
And I think, because I've noticed, like, the more I surround myself by people that are like open for chats, and I think also the more open you are, you notice that you end up actually, like, even when I just met you, I just kind of word vomited at you, I think, a little bit, but it's like, actually then it's created this. So it's like, I think people are a lot less judgmental than other people think they are, and if someone is going to judge you on you telling them on your like something that you're really dealing with, then they are not your person, and that is fine for them. But they might be dealing with their own thing and might not have the capacity to take on your energy as well. But just I think the more conversations people have and the more open I've been, it's sad to see how many people deal with things, but actually also it makes you feel unbelievably less alone. And I kind of really wish that more people spoke about it, because especially in the industries that I'm in as well, so I just wish more people would talk about it, because you almost have, some of these people have hundreds of thousands of followers online, and I know it's just a social media world, but I actually think you've got a slight responsibility to kind of be a bit more vulnerable sometimes, if of course you feel comfortable to do it. But if you don't feel comfortable to do it, please stop portraying someone that you're not online, that people are idolising to be, because that, I think, if anything, feeds into it more and more.
Well, Ruby, thank you so much for joining me on an episode. I'm going to ask you when we wrap up to write a note for my next guest.
I will do.
A reminder, a message, something that could relate to today around self-worth or anything you want. Because I think it's always nice, as we spoke about last week, just passing on a message to someone that maybe you've never met before can make a nice difference to their day as well. So thank you so much. If you're tuning in and you want to find out more about Ruby, if you're not following already, check out the comments and description. I'll put all the links in there. But Ruby, thanks so much for coming on the Run Your Mind podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
There we go.
Pathetic. Thank you.
And in the summer, I'd love to do the one out on the terrace. There you go. And here's yours.
You're here to learn something, not to prove something. I love it.
That's a wrap. Cool.
Guys.
You can keep that.
Yay! I'll put it on my fridge.